Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to our show. We have gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the multiverse, two of the nerdiest geeks to be found. We proudly present the professor and her geeky girl miss herself, Ace. And now it's time. Geeky Kool presents Professor and Ace. Hey everybody, welcome to Geeky Kool presents Professor and Ace, episode number 76. And as you notice, Ace is not with us right now. She's hoping to be able to sign in. She had to cover an event for her day job, which is being a roving reporter. So she hopefully will be with us here soon. But we do have a very special guest with us tonight. One of our good friends, one of our Geeky Kool contributors, writers for our site on a regular basis. She's also authored to numerous books. Because she's bored, she's also a teacher. So, you know, she does all sorts of things. Morgan, thank you for joining us today.
Larry, thank you for letting me be here with all you wonderful fellow geeks.
Oh, you're welcome. You're always welcome to come in. So if you ever want to come on while we're talking stuff, just, you know, let us know and an email or whatever. We will be glad to have you. We Absolutely. Do have applause already, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Hi, Nathan.
Is that Nathan? Okay. I'm like, all right. I wasn't sure who that was, but I'm like, great. Thank you for watching, Nathan. We're glad you're here with us. So, and we do have some viewers, and I'm excited for that. But we want to have you on today because today's a very special day for you.
It is.
Well, tell us about what's going on today.
Well, today, to summarize it, I launched my very first Kickstarter campaign.
And from the viewing of it, you're almost halfway through the Kickstarter already.
I know. I'm getting pings on my phone all day. My mentors told me that would happen the first couple of days. And right. I'm just astounded because most of them are friends of mine and I'm outreaching to other people and like just the big sums. And some people are like, I don't need your stuff. I love you. I just want to give you money. And I'm just like, what? So I'm really touched.
That is awesome.
Thank you.
That is so awesome. Mandy waves and says hi. Hey, Mandy, glad you're with us. So we've got Mandy with us and we've got other people watching, so we're excited to have that. So let's hop over to your Kickstarter account and see where we're at now. So we're going to bring this up here with us.
Awesome.
And let's see if we can get it to go full screen on us here. There we go. It doesn't actually tell us. We do have the link in the description down below. So it doesn't, let me see if I can get that. Where we've like, oh, it's showing that I did. It shows that I'm a contributor, that I have happily donated for it.
Thank you.
Now, will it let me go back to the actual Kickstarter for it? So I brought it up thinking that was all I needed. Oh, here we go.
I'm gonna say what I've been doing is I just type my own thing in the search and then it usually pops up. I don't know why it's kind of finicky.
Kickstarters can be that way. They can very much be that way.
I searched for myself and then it popped up and told me my percentage.
Well, there you go. Because, yeah, you're doing quite well. Wanted to bring it up for people to see. And here it is. And there are different pledges that you guys can do.
Yes.
Including you can give $1 just to support. And then you start getting extra benefits with all of these. Tell us about some of the benefits and some of the levels that people are getting here.
Sure. So I did 10 different packages. I have a wonderful friend named Brian Rodman. He's a comic book artist and Kickstarter extraordinaire. He's been my mentor the past several months. Great person. And he's got the coolest names for his packages. So I kind of was inspired by that. Mine are all themed towards my book. Right. And of course, you know, the more you buy, the more you get. That's just kind of how life should be. So we start with like the $1, but even if you just pledge $1, guys, one of my 2 professional narrators will read your name in the thank you section of the audiobook.
That's amazing. So people get to hear your name as somebody who donated just for pledging $1. So
just at least $1, everybody.
Yeah, and everybody after that. But if you do $1, if that's all you can afford,
yeah,
and it's so awesome because that way people can give even if they don't have a lot and they want to give a little bit. You know, the pledges are anywhere from $1, and we go all the way up for those people that can. It goes up to 165. So So if you got $165 that you don't know what to do with, or if you just want all this swag, because look at this, my goodness, there is swag after swag after swag on this.
Yeah, I have the graphics on my Kickstarter, which is really cool. And I actually had to rewrite this several times because I ran out of characters.
I can see that.
Yeah.
So you get a personal 5-minute Q&A call with the author herself, Morgan, and you get 2 prints, sketches of Val and Jeremy. So, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff, guys. Make sure you go out, check it out. Even if you don't want to contribute or can't contribute, because we all have those times where financially we just can't do something.
I get it.
Yeah, exactly. But if you can't, go check it out. And then please put it out on social media for other people to see. Because people that you know will really enjoy this. And if you've not read Morgan's books in the past, this is a great way to get introduced because you can get the audiobook by signing up. And I think that's at a 25 level and above. Is that right?
Yes.
So you will qualify for the audiobook. And if you're like me with a little bit of ADD and dyslexia, an audiobook is godsend. I love a good audiobook.
Absolutely.
I love if I get into it, I love a good book and can read. But man, especially to get started in something, if you want to get started on a series, that's a great way to do it. And guys, once you get in to Morgan's series, I think you're not going to be able to put them down. So, so just make sure you guys go out and check it out. Check out that Kickstarter. Now, along with your Kickstarter, which is amazing, and congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll get. Well, let me see if I can get it pulled up here so we know exactly the amount that we're at right now because I had it up here earlier. And
I believe you. Like I said, it's finicky.
I know it's frustrating because you're like, what is going on here?
I might suggest just clicking on Kickstarter's logo.
There we go. I got it.
There you go. You got it. Yeah.
We're at $936 of your $1,800 goal. So you are over 50% now.
I know. It's only 8 backers. That's what I'm like, what?
So you guys can be a backer and get your name added. Even for $1, you can become one of the backers here. And so you guys can do that. Check it out. There's a lot of cool stuff on this Kickstarter and pictures of people reading the book. And
so the narrators right there, that's the first 12 minutes of chapter 1 for free, just for anybody. So that's Lexi and Logan right there reading scenes from my book.
Yeah.
We're just trying to fund the rest of the book. Chapter 1 is done. I did that out of my own pocket.
So you guys can get chapter 1 for free. Go listen to it, and then you're going to definitely want to make sure.
I'm blown away every time I listen to it.
Yeah, that's amazing. So
I love it.
And of course, there's a trailer on here.
Yeah, I made that. It's not the best, but I tried, and I made the banners.
They're great. Actually, the banners are sensational. If I do a Kickstarter, I want you to do my banners.
Oh, I'm not very good, awesome. But thank you.
Oh, well, I'm looking at them going, man, that's really cool. So I think you're doing great there.
Yeah. So and then there's add-ons too right there. So those are things you can add on.
So they are things that you can get one, and then you can add extra items right here as add-ons, which is a great thing to do. That is so cool.
Yeah. And then the necklace there, I'm wearing it right now. There's only 4 more for sale, and that's it.
Oh, wow.
It's very limited edition. And it's a replica of my main character's necklace that she has in the series.
That is so cool.
I had it made by a jeweler company. So, yeah.
So if you want to cosplay.
Yes, as Val.
As Val. Now, I think you can find somebody very happy with you at one of the local conventions. You can find Morgan at most of these conventions. Morgan's going to be there at a table anyway, enjoying the convention, and you could cosplay, and that would make her day, I'm sure. So
absolutely,
go ahead and get the necklace, and then that'll make your cosplay perfect. So
super authentic.
Super authentic. That's what we want.
Yeah, and Val's a monster hunter.
But
yeah, she's a monster hunter. Who doesn't want to be a monster hunter?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, I could do a little gender bender.
Yeah,
there, you know.
I would love a gender bend Val. That'd be great.
Awesome. That would be awesome. Yeah. I don't think I can pull it off, but yeah. I like the idea. I just yeah. So let's take that off for just a moment.
Sure.
and come back to just us for the moment, and then we'll bring up, because I want to highlight also your website. That way people know where to be able to get that, see your other books, and be able to go out there. And again, that's down below. You guys can get that information down below. And then also your Patreon account, which is an amazing account. And for a very little bit a month, you get all sorts of cool stuff. And a lot of it I've not been able to take advantage of, like your Q&As and stuff.
Yeah.
Life just gets in the way. And a lot of times you're on Wednesday nights, which is not a good night for me. But I think it's really cool that you do that. That to me is just awesome.
Thank you.
So you have a really great Patreon account, and anyway. So let me do that. See if I can't get that brought up here. So I'm going to have to do a little finagling. So as for people that have not read the book, tell us a little bit about it, because you're going to be hearing the audio, but let's let people know exactly what they're going to be hearing.
Okay, so The Hunter and the Bringer is about two rivaling monster hunting organizations. So we have the Hunters, which literally hunt monsters, because even though it's set in a very realistic modern time, monsters are real. They hide in the shadows, and these organizations protect, the regular innocent people, citizens, from them. Right. So the Hunters hunt, obviously, and then the Bringers bring them to justice. So I kind of jokingly describe them as PETA, although they're not PETA. So I mean, even though they know the monsters are evil, they just can't kill them. They don't have, because they're like a living creature. So the Bringers capture them, do research on them, try to rehabilitate them, although it hasn't worked yet. Because in my world, monsters are pure evil. Sorry, Twilight fans. Which, I'm a Twilight fan myself, but I wanted to go back to basics. Like, what if monsters they're just monsters. They're just evil and everything. So we have, I'm wearing my shirt. My friend Julie is a beautiful, wonderful, beautiful soul and artist. So she did this. It's Val and Jeremy.
That is awesome.
Val is the top hunter of the country. She's the best. She's really tough and sarcastic. And then Jeremy is the golden boy of the Bringers, they call him, because he's like the pretty boy, but he's like super talented. So obviously they don't get along for several reasons. And then a vampire starts hypnotizing people around the world and capturing them. So, and he's like the super powerful threat. So the two have to work together, unfortunately, and adventure, chaos ensues. So there's action. If you like anime or manga, it's kind of runs and reads like that. There are some potential romance flirtation, because everybody likes a little hint of romance, or at least I do. And my Kickstarter video, my friend Lakota made. He has a wonderful YouTube channel. He's an artist and a YouTuber. He actually drew doodles explaining all the genres of my book. So
that is awesome.
Oh, it's amazing. He's so talented. So if you go to my Kickstarter page and click that first video at the very top, it's a 5-minute video of me explaining the Kickstarter and the plot of the book. He has his drawings in there. He filmed it. He did the lighting and the editing. And my narrators made guest appearances as the voices of Val and Jeremy arguing inside the pages of the book. So that's really fun too.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So just a little bit about their world and everything. And there's 2 books currently in the series. And I'm working on a fan book / short story collection, because the main duology is over, but people kept wanting more stories. So I'm like, well, so think of this as like a mini series of what happens right after. So they're not critical to the plot, but they're just fun because you like these characters.
Right.
Yeah. Or they answer questions that a lot of people have, well, what happens to these characters? What would happen in this situation? So I've been having a lot of fun plotting these short stories and making profiles on characters that I mentioned maybe 2 times in the book.
Right.
But I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna make his dad a blacksmith, and then like blah blah. So isn't so much fun. Like every character gets to shine in the fan book, which is really great.
That's awesome. Well, as a dungeon master for D&D group,
yes,
and I know you have done that also.
I'm doing it now.
You're doing. I wasn't sure if you were still active.
Oh,
you
yeah.
See that all the time, right? You bring in a character, and they're meant to just be a little side character for your NPCs to play, or your PCs to talk to, and all suddenly they end up doing things with that character. You're like, okay, so I'm gonna have to make some stuff up here, and actually, and sometimes that's the most fun because you're like, okay, here's the backstory. I've got the whole backstory, and then what kills me is what you're like, okay, they want more, so I'm gonna fill out in the backstory, and they're like, yeah, okay, we're done.
Yeah,
exactly. You're killing me. I made a great character now.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I can see that. I can totally see what you're saying there. And one of these days I'm going to get my book finished, so that'd be awesome. But you have done it. You've gone. You've had several books, and now you got a Kickstarter. Before too long, you're going to be out on the big book series. You're going to be signing all the books for fans lined up in Barnes and Noble and other bookstores. And that's going to be awesome. I can't wait for that, because once they discover you, and in fact, if Netflix catches it, which we're hoping they will,
I'm hoping
that would be a great series, and then your books are going to skyrocket even more. So I can see just all great things, and it'll be good. So, but let's bring up your webpage. I brought it up by accident. I didn't mean to pop it in there earlier. So but let's go ahead and pop it in so people can see. And again, it's linked down below. So just go click on the link. It'll take you right to her site. But because you've got several different books out there and a lot going on, we've got we wanted to make sure to highlight that people can go out here and read what's going on. Of course, you've got stuff about your Kickstarter, which is fantastic, because that's what's going on right this moment.
Yeah.
All that information. But you've got all sorts of stuff out here. You do original articles. You interview people. There's people that interview you.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of information out here on, which is pretty freaking awesome. I always keep up with what's going on, because I always want to know. Well, because you're awesome, Morgan. So, and you're inspiring, because I really do want to finish my novel. I just have to make myself sit down and spend time doing it, which is not always the easiest thing for me. So
it's hard when you're an adult. Like I'm finding it harder and harder to find time to write, or sometimes you're just not in the mood. So I get it. I do.
Well, and you have family stuff going on, and work stuff, and then you're like, man, I'm exhausted. I just want to sit in bed, or I want to do this. Or if it's me, I'm like, oh, I've got to work on my website, and I've got to do this, and I got to plan this out. And, life just gets busy with it, but there's a lot of cool stuff. So wanting people to see that, they can go out there. There's all sorts of cool stuff on your website that they need to go check out. We'll bring up your Patreon account here in just a moment. Yeah. Hopefully I won't throw it in as active right away, because I got to get out of a screen and come back in to do that. But so we've talked about the plot of the book. We've got you've talked about your two not authors, the two actors, audio actors that are helping you out and reading for you. So are they basically taking the lines of the different characters for you? Or how are they doing that? How are they reading? Or are they just doing different ones, or doing different chapters? How's that working for you?
That is a great question. So I do know some books do flip perspective and narrators that way. Yeah. I haven't done that yet. But what they're doing, and they're amazing. They've been at this for 10 years. And they have been trained by like New York award-winning professional like narrator coaches.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and they auditioned for my book. So what happens is, and if you would like me to share for those future authors who want to get into making your book an audiobook, I'd be happy to explain the process, because I had to learn from scratch.
I would love to hear the process.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So obviously Audible is probably the most well-known.
Right.
and successful. Right. So Audible has a special site for narrators and people looking for narrators called ACX.
Okay.
ACX.com. And it's free to join, and it's free to like, hey, I want to sign up and be a narrator. You just make like samples and stuff like that. Or for me, I was an author, and I just took my information straight from Amazon because they're linked, obviously. They're linked.
Yes.
And then the coolest part was I got to take lines from my books that I thought captured what kind of voices I needed to hear. I picked the dialect, I picked the age range, and then I had to put how long it is because they got to get paid too. So we have to figure out a budget, obviously. And I submitted it. I'm like, oh, I'm just an indie author, small press, you know, like I'm not going to get auditions. I was overwhelmed. I think at one point I had 16 different girls. Wow. Auditioning and then like 5 guys. And Val is the narrator. So when I heard the men do it, I'm like, wait a minute. But they were good. Right. I was just, Danielle Steele does that with her book. She hires male narrators, even though they're female. Well, usually they're third person, but it was really interesting. So I narrowed it down to a couple, and then I ended up talking to Lexi, and she was just a warm soul, so experienced, and she's done every genre you can think of because this is 17 plus. Right. And when I talked to some of the people auditioning, they're like, well, I have small kids. Like, I love your book. Like, I want to read it, but I don't want my 6-year-old one day to find out I narrated like a scene like that. And I was like, no, I totally get it. Yeah. But Lexi was fine with it. And she goes, hey, I have a friend and we've done several books together, you know, 17 plus content. His name's Logan. So we got together, we auditioned him and them together, and they were just flawless. Perfect. So, and then they asked me, well, how do you see these characters? So Lexi's doing all the females, obviously, and then Logan's doing all the guys. And awesome. It was so great because I used superheroes to describe Logan, his characters. So he's like, okay, the main guy, Jeremy. I'm like, well, think of the justice of Captain America with Thor's, you know, beauty and Tony Stark's I'm better than everybody charisma. Right. And he's like, oh, okay. And then we started talking, and then there's Kessler, who's this very timid analyst. You know, he doesn't do good with the field work. He's the numbers guy. Right. Right. So he's like, what do you want for this guy? I'm like, can we do like a real nerdy Tom Holland? And he's like, yes. He got so excited. And his voices are great. And Lexi's great. So they had a lot of fun. They had a lot of fun. Yeah. And that means a lot to me because when I asked him, hey, do you want to contribute to this video? Because I'm like, oh, they're such big shots. And they're like, oh, yeah. So I wrote a script for the video in Kickstarter, and they had a blast, and they got props out. And
that's awesome. So
I'm really appreciative that they support me because, you know, they've done a wide range of authors. Right. But they said they'll work with any budget, and they're being very kind and reasonable because they said their best part is working with the author and making the 3 of us making this world come together. So
that is really cool.
Yeah. They're great.
I've written a lot of short stories, especially back in the day and other things. That idea that somebody wants to work with you and your characters to bring them alive, that's really amazing. That's really cool. I think that takes a special person because and voice actors are typically pretty cool. Voice actors, narrators.
Absolutely.
From the ones I've talked to several over the years at different conventions and stuff. They're always really pretty awesome. But that whole idea of saying that, you know, what we really want to do is work with the author to bring the world, like, that is so cool. That means they've got the vision, and that's. By the way, Chris wanted to say hi.
That's my mom. Hi, Mom.
I think she's been on with us before, and we do appreciate you, Chris. Thanks for joining us. We do appreciate you. We're glad you come on, and I love how you support your daughter. Morgan's awesome, and I think that's just really cool. So
I have a great family. They've always been very supportive of everything I do.
That's perfect. Love it when you get a good family.
Absolutely.
So yeah. Well, let's throw up your Patreon account here,
sure,
Rick, and talk about that because that's a really cool thing where people can come on and join your Patreon account. And it looks like I'm not signed in fully to it. Yeah, I need to log in here. Don't look. It's my login. We'll bring that back here in just a moment. But the Patreon account, you have, and again, there's a lot of variety of money that you can go on any of these sort of things. But people want to come on and share with you money to be able to help make things happen. And then they get extra benefits, like you'll do a monthly chats where you're talking with them, and there's other things that go on. Tell us a little bit, especially for people that aren't familiar with Patreon is. Tell them about your Patreon account and how what you do with that.
Sure. So like Kickstarter, Patreon is to help fund an artist or a project, but it's a monthly, basically, I kind of call it a monthly subscription.
Right.
Whereas Kickstarter is a one-time thing usually.
Right.
So what's great about Patreon is you are helping the creator, like you said. So I have different tiers, just kind of like there's packages in Kickstarter.
Right.
I didn't want to overwhelm people, so I only did 3. But I tried to make my prices where they are helpful to me, but you guys still get benefits. I don't feel like, you know, I'm robbing you of things. So I have a $3 tier and a $7 tier and a $10 tier. And they are all named after like celestial things.
Right. Yes.
So yeah, we have like Twinkling Wonders, Shining Stars. And I think I forgot the middle one. I'll have to think about it. I'm getting old. But yeah.
You know, that's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. Because I'm feeling the same way.
Oh my
Today
gosh,
I was having a hard time.
I haven't slept in 4 days, Mr. Larry. I've been so overexcited. I've been excited but stressed about this Kickstarter, so I haven't slept.
Well, it doesn't look like you have much reason to be stressed because you're killing it.
Thank you. But so, that's the thing, you never know.
You don't. And you know, the last thing you want to do is put a Kickstarter out there and have no one contribute and wonder what you did wrong. But no, you're doing great on that. So yeah, there's all sorts of stuff on the Patreon.
Yeah. So
there's a schedule right here of the different things that are going on.
So, I do that every month, also for myself because I forget sometimes.
Well, that's always good to put it down, right? Because that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So if anybody's interested, again, it's down below. Check it out. There's some really cool benefits to it. I am a Patreon follower because I think Morgan's awesome, as I've said. And so you know, it's one cup of coffee for a $3 thing. I mean, and that's if you're not going to Starbucks and getting some sort of frou-frou coffee. You know, then you're talking about, you know, then you could go to her full amount on the Patreon, you still would have money left over. So yeah, it's you know, that's what it is. I'm not a big frou-frou guy, especially with Starbucks, but Starbucks can be expensive. But if you just take one Starbucks, then you can help support a great author keeping the dream alive, because nowadays book companies aren't so quick to go out and give them big contracts to people just because they read a manuscript. You pretty much have to do it this way to get your books out, and then eventually they may come in and want to buy it, but and hopefully, but right now so this is how authors are able to afford to be able to do what they're doing with their dreams. So all right, so Mom also said that you're awesome and cool, and I agree with her. So
I try.
Thanks, Chris. So those are, you know, we've got all 3 of those sites down below, but wanted to kind of ask you, what else is coming up? So what are we working on? I know you're working on the mini stories that are going to be a book of the short stories. Yes. But what else do you have planned and going on?
Well, we talked about this back in December. I know it's been a while, but I do have an actual audiobook release for my young adult series, Spirit Vision. So you can actually get that now on Amazon. And I know, like Larry said, people like audiobooks. It is definitely an audiobook generation the past couple of years. I think that's wonderful. Like I absolutely, like I said, voice actors are so nice, and narrators that I've met. I go to several conventions myself, and I love working with them. Plus, I have a 30-minute commute, so that something I can listen to.
Exactly.
On the way to work, which is nice. Or if I'm cleaning, it makes things a little bit easier.
Exactly.
Yeah. My husband listens to it at work because he stocks at Walmart. So they let him have it. As long as he has one ear where he can hear.
Right.
So
right.
he has the other one and he listens to audiobooks while he does his work.
Well, and
so
I think that's awesome.
Yeah. So I think it's fantastic. But if you are interested in hearing who I picked for that, her name is Abby Anderson. She is a doll in every single way. And that is on Amazon. So you just type in Morgan Straughan Comnick or Morgan Comnick because Straughan is spelled weird. I know that. It was my maiden name for 22 years.
I understand.
Yeah. So Morgan Comnick on Amazon, I'll pop up. You can click my author page and click audiobooks, and Spirit Vision will be there. It's the first book I ever wrote. And on December 17th this year, it'll be 10 years old release.
Wow.
So yeah,
it was released. Congratulations.
Wow. Thank you. It'll be released on my mom's birthday, and that was not planned. She thought it was at the time, and I was like,
yeah, here's your gift.
My agent did that, but I'm like, we can say it was for your birthday, Mom.
Right. Well, some color's not, but now she's watching, so now she knows. So
well, she knows. I told her, but anyway, working towards that. So I'm working with Abby, and we're hoping maybe around Christmas this year and next year we'll get book 2 out this year.
That'd be great. Yeah.
And book 3 for next year. And then she's like, "So when are you going to write book 4?" And I'm like, I've put book 4 off for like 6 years. I guess I'm going to have to start working on book 4 because people keep asking.
Yeah.
Well, I took a break. I took a break to do Hunter and Bringer,
right?
2017-18, because I wanted to do something a little more mature,
right,
and everything. And then I didn't realize. I know this sounds weird, but you don't know how successful as an artist your thing is going to be as long as you like it. Right. And for a small press, I was very impressed with the fan base I got with Hunter and Bringer. So I had more ideas, and I fell in love with the characters, and the characters kind of literally became alive to me. So there was times I let them do what they told me to do. I was just the catalyst.
You're exactly right. Those characters tell you what to write on the page. Like, no, that's not what I would be doing at all.
Exactly.
No, this is it. Okay. All right.
Yeah. People think you're nuts if you don't are not a creative soul. That's fine, but I'm just like, no, literally, they were yelling at me. So I took a couple completely. Yeah, I took a couple years off to do Hunter and Bringer, so now eventually I'll have to go back. But I think I am after this Kickstarter and audiobook gets underway in the spring. Hope, fingers crossed. I might take a couple, like 6 or 8 months to myself, and I haven't read a book by another author in like a year. And I miss my comic books and my manga.
I get that. Yeah.
my agent even told me, she goes, "You're going to have 9 books out in 10 years. You need to take a break."
Right.
Plus I work full time. So. Right.
Exactly. You're not short on things to do.
No. My husband's like, "I wish you'd slow down." And I'm like, I don't know how. Like, I really don't.
I get that. Right.
Yep. Yeah. Well, you impress me all the time with all your updates and how beautiful GeekyKOOL is. So, you're my inspiration, honestly, to be an article writer. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm just like, how does he upkeep that so well?
Some months are easier than others, and again, it's a lot of little sleep and this has. Well, that's just when you're like, okay, I want to get this done, and now I'm inspired. I got to get this done. Okay, I got to write this, or I've got to add this, and. In some weeks, it's I want to write this, but I can't because they've dropped 100 movie trailers and I need to post all those. You're like, what is going on? So you're like, I need to write this. Oh, you're killing me here. So yeah.
I know. Well, I noticed all the movie trailers the past month, and I'm just like, oh boy.
Well, there's a lot of that going on, and then there's a lot of other stuff. So I'm like, okay, well, we'll do what we got to do here. But yeah, there's a lot of cool movies coming out in 2022.
Yes.
Because they're like, oh, people will actually be able to go to the theater. Maybe we should release some movies. I don't know. So at least we're hoping. We're hoping we can go to the theaters. We're hoping that we're done with all that other.
Yeah, definitely. I've got like a list of maybe at least 8 movies for sure that are coming out that I definitely want to see.
Right.
And I think Sonic's the first one, Sonic 2.
Yes. Yep.
I grew up with Sonic.
Right.
Little girl, and I love the first one. They did amazing. So
well, in the I really like how they've done Jim Carrey's character for the second one with
Yes.
the mustache and all that. I'm like, okay, that looks really good. So,
so he's coming Robotnik to Eggman. I like that they're doing that lore. They're fusing it because a lot of people get confused on that. So, and Tails and Knuckles look great. So,
they do. I agree.
I'm so excited.
Well, we have the Batman out on Friday and a lot of other things coming out. So yeah, a lot of good geek stuff coming on. Now, are you going to be at OzCon in April? Are you going to be able to make that one, or is that too far out of your path?
Oh no, AJ has asked me to go several times, but it's always like the same weekend as I think one of the Cape Cons.
Sure, right.
The first week in April this year is Cape Anime Con.
Right.
So, and I didn't know when OzCon was this year. So
let me look and verify because I think it's a little later. I'm just asking because I know that I will be there, and of course AJ and Spoo are getting married there.
Yes.
So we've got that going on, and wow, getting married at a con. I mean, that's really awesome.
Well, you guys are supposed to go to Heroes for Kids, and I know there's a lot of sickness at the time. So we missed you this year, but I'm so glad you're coming this year. But my friends who do Heroes for Kids, they actually, some of our people in the organization, they got married a couple years ago at their convention, Paducah Con.
Wow.
And they were cosplaying as the Joker and Catwoman. So
that's an interesting combination.
Oh, it was amazing. I think it was on maybe Valentine's Day. It was on some holiday.
There you go.
But oh my gosh, the wedding pictures were so cute.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and OzCon is April 22nd through the 24th. I thought it was later in the month, so that's when that.
Oh, okay.
Now, no pressure. I'm just asking if you're going to be there because I was curious if you're going to have a booth there or if you're going to be able to make it. So, but yeah, it'll be a fun time. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Con season's starting up.
It is. And it's looking like we're going to have cons more this year. So,
yes.
So I know last year there were some that had to pass on just because of my health issues and susceptibility to COVID. And even though I've already had it once and don't want that again. But yeah, so sometimes you just have to use some wisdom, especially as I get older. When I was younger, I would just charge into things. And now I'm a little older. I'm like, okay, I don't know I can bounce back as well as I used to from stuff. So, but
no,
yeah.
I got lupus, so I understand.
You do know. Yeah, you completely know.
Yes.
And
yes.
More so than I even. So yeah. I did know that. I'd forgotten that. So all right. I think we talked about that before. So yeah. All right. Well, so anything else out there that you're excited about? I know we talked about Sonic. Is there anything else that you're excited that's coming out, or any shows that you're excited about watching? And I know you've been busy. I mean, you're preparing for this, so. But I just didn't know if there was something out there you're like, man, I can't wait till I get to watch that, or I get to read this, or whatever it is.
Well, I literally, like right here on the side of me, I have my full bookshelf, and then my manga shelf is on the opposite side of my office. So I just want to dive into those 80 books I have. Probably, I think I counted 80 that I haven't had time to read the past couple years.
Yeah.
Manga, I'm usually good at keeping up. I'm probably about 2 months behind, but I could probably, graphic novels are quicker to read. So
right.
I always look forward to all the latest MCU movies. So
right.
I am looking forward to that. And fun fact, I'm a huge Elvis Presley fan.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, so
with the Elvis movie though.
Yes. Yeah. And Austin Butler was a Disney Channel star not too long ago. So when I saw him, I'm like, oh, I thought it like Teeny Bopper, but then the preview looked really good. So I definitely have to see that.
We do have a question for us.
Oh, absolutely.
About the Dragon Prince on Netflix, the anime series on Netflix.
Oh,
Dragon Prince.
I haven't
actually seen it yet. Yeah.
Yet. Now it's by the same, I think people who did Ruby are associated with it somehow.
Right.
Not because the animation does look very similar. But yeah, I heard it's really good.
I have too. It's on my list. I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, my list is long too. Now I do know I did watch Critical Role on Amazon Prime, and all my friends, I got them hooked on it, and they've watched it like 6 times, and it just finished last week. So
well, and I've watched.
I created little Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, I created Dungeons and Dragons monsters.
Have you watched their show that's on that you can watch on YouTube and other places? The Critical Role.
Well, not extensively because they're 4-hour episodes every week.
No, you're exactly right. They are. Yeah. Yeah,
but I know enough about it
right away.
I know, but my husband loves them, and he got into them a couple years ago, so he's watched them all, and I've listened in the background, and I know like some of the best parts, and now my friends are watching them as well, so that's really nice. I did watch some of the first campaign, but I haven't watched the second or the newest one. But I respect all of them. I've met 2 of them, so that's great.
They're awesome. Yeah, I'm like on episode 101 on the first campaign, and then I decided I'm going to start streaming the new campaign along with it. So I'm rotating when I'm watching it, and I basically have it playing in the background because it's a little easier for me just to listen a lot of times. But yeah, so I'm enjoying that. But it was funny because the anime really just takes things right out of their campaign from the first season. And some really critical things that they bring in. I'm like, okay, that was well done. They even did the door. Do you know the door joke? So I'm like, oh my gosh, they did the door joke where the door defeated 3 of them for like 10 minutes. They're like, we can't get in, and they all kept rolling terrible. I'm like, oh my gosh, did the door thing.
Well,
that was
my friends who are learning D&D, they're in my group that I run. And, you know, they're slowly learning, just like I'm slowly learning to be a dungeon master. So it's funny now because they go, we're so glad that we did play D&D first because we can appreciate the show more because we can tell from the story when their rolls sucked and when they got like a nat 20.
Right.
It's so true. Like the show did brilliant with that. Like you could tell their roles from how they're acting, and those actors just love those characters that they created. You can tell. So
better. Yes, I agree. And Scanlan's one of my favorite characters, even though he's.
I was going to ask who your favorite was. Okay.
Yeah, I like them all, but Scanlan is just so quirky and out there, and you're like, okay.
That's a nice way to put it. I like it.
Yeah. Well,
our favorite, ours is Grog. We love Grog.
Grog is awesome. Also, you can't go wrong with Grog. The whole cast is phenomenal. So, Mandy says she also loves Dragon Prince. I think Mandy and I have talked about that. I need to watch it. I watched a different anime on Netflix. It was really good, and now I'm blanking on it. It was one of their originals. So they've got some really good stuff.
Absolutely.
So. Also, so much. Yeah.
That's true.
Because when they're 4-hour episodes, it's really hard to catch up, and so a lot of times because of what my job is during the day, I can have that playing in the background and listen to it in between phone calls, and then I'm able to do that. So I've done some of that to get kind of caught up. But yeah, it's a lot there. That's kind of why I decided to skip to season 3 also, because I'm like, okay, season 1's getting a little closer to the end because I think there's 121 episodes. So I'm like, okay, so if I start season 3 and if I can get kind of caught up because they're only like 14 episodes in, if I can get a little caught up, then when I get there, maybe I can get to be like, okay, now I'm up to date, and now I can start season 2 because I'm like, season 2 is like, I don't know, 150 episodes. I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to ever watch all of this?
I don't know.
I don't either. So
I don't know.
I enjoy the actors so much. So that's what's fun about that.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
All right. Morgan, is there anything else we want to highlight or go over before we end our show tonight?
we can pull up the stuff again if I need to re-explain just real quickly.
Yeah, we can do that. Give me just a moment. We will pull up the Kickstarter for people to be able to see and to be able to go out and check out that Kickstarter because it's very awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You do fine work all over the place.
Well, that means a lot since I do write 3 articles a month for you guys.
And I do appreciate that. I mean, that is greatly appreciated. So
no problem. I sit down, like, you probably noticed, I sit down like once every 3 months and just knock them all out.
Yeah, I know. I know they're sitting out there ready to go, which is awesome. I mean, you got them set, scheduled, they come out. And so, it's very cool how you do that. So here's the Kickstarter for the audio.
There's the awesome video. Yes.
Yeah. So just hit that play on the video. Check it out. I think you guys will be sold once you check that out. Hopefully this will tell you also. And, first day, over halfway there. And yes, I'm singing Bon Jovi in my head. So there's that. And of course, with the Kickstarter account, you have all the pledges, what they do. They go into great detail on letting you know what you've selected, what you're able to get over here. The add-ons are all down here. There are separate scrolls here, so you can scroll on the side and see what the pledges do. Or you can also check out the different articles about it, because it'll give you a lot of detail on the characters, on what's going on. Look at this cool graphic here. That's really cool. With the slashing and the feather. I mean, that looks like a comic book back. Right there. That's so awesome. So, yeah. So check it out, guys, and check out the narrators there. They're reading, and the pictures of them there. So a lot of cool stuff.
Yep. We got the video, we got the rewards with graphics if you're more visual learner like myself. And actually, if you don't mind, Mr. Larry, scrolling down, we have stretch goals too. Which I didn't talk
let's hit the stretch goals. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's towards the bottom. So there's the add-ons right there.
Yeah.
And then, so stretch goals. That means if we go past our goal, which is always good because sometimes, taxes take out more. Sometimes people, financial things happen and they have to take their pledge back, which I understand. Or sometimes you just want to try to get a little closer to book 2, which is a lot bigger than book 1.
Exactly.
So I have 3 stretch goals currently. If we surpass that, which would be more than amazing, I'll make more stretch goals. But we got some fun ones. We have an additional sticker, which is the first one. If we have 75 backers, even if everybody just donates $1, I will write a short story just for the Kickstarter backers from the Hunter Bringer.
That's awesome.
And then, thank you. I have plenty of ideas. And then number 3, I did a photo shoot dressed as Val. I cosplayed as my main character. And you'll get 4 of the best prints, and I will sign them all and send them to you if we get $2,500 in stamping.
Well, at this rate, you'll be having to write new stretch goals by the end of the week. So,
and then I have a great team here, so it's everybody who's helped out. So you can check out their websites, check out how incredible they are. I'm very blessed to have such wonderful people and supporters, like all you guys. Larry's been a big supporter, promoting, and of course letting me be here today, which I appreciate. And my cat is in there, as she is a very critical part of my team.
Your cat's in here?
Yes, if you scroll.
There we are.
Yeah. There she is. She's the mascot. Look, she's
always
sitting
good to
by
have
my
a mascot.
And she's by my book. She's so cute.
She is cute. I agree.
I
got one that's fluffy, but he doesn't like to. He wants to just kind of do what he wants all the time. So.
Socks is the same. Socks is the same way. We just pay her rent.
I usually address Mittens, my cat, as master. How may I serve you? You want me to pet you twice, and then you're going to bite my hand. Okay, got it. All right.
I love how we have Socks and Mittens. That's great.
I know, right? Well, and my daughter named it. I think she was 9 when we adopted him, and how we adopted him was he was we went for a walk on a cold autumn day. And we walked by one of our neighbors' houses, of course, as you're walking through the neighborhood, and we kept hearing a little meow. I'm like, what is that? Oh. And then he had crawled up in the engine block because it was a cold autumn day to warm up, and he could fit in my hand. So we basically went to the neighbor's house, knocked on the door, and said, "Hey, you've got a cat here." And so she's like, "I was just about to walk out the door, so I'm glad you told me, or else, that could have been very bad for the little kitten." So we pulled him out, we held him in our hands. My daughter and I's hearts melted, and then we took him to my wife. And my wife, I grew up on a farm with like 3 dogs and anywhere from 1 to 10 cats, depending on what was going on. And so pets were a part of my life. I grew up with pets. So my wife, though, her parents didn't believe pets were a necessity. In fact, they were more of a nuisance. So she's had that philosophy. Oh. So I don't know what happened, because we called her out, like, "Look at the cute kitten, and he can barely survive on his own." And so we were trying to get her to say yes, and she goes, "No, let him go." So put him in the backyard, and then we came moping, and she's like, "Fine, get the cat." And so we went out and actually found him. He was still out there, and brought him in. And then he was like Clifford the Big Red Dog. He grew from this little bitty thing that fit in my hand to this monster, 15-pound cat that is furball, who is part Maine Coon. And who said, "I want to be in the room with you, and I want you to interact with me, but not unless I tell you to." And then, so he's like, "I don't, you can come pet me a couple of times, and I may come and actually ask you to, or I may jump on your lap while you're using your laptop, and whatever, anything inconvenient that's convenient for me." So so but don't grab me and hold me, because no, we're dying. So
Socks hates being restrained. She's like Braveheart, freedom.
I kind of feel the same way personally.
But she's so cute. I can't help it. She's like only 7 pounds, and she's fully grown. She was the runt of her litter. So
there you go.
Yeah, but she's
not the runt.
I love that. That's so sweet, though. That's great. So, I'm glad you got Mittens.
He's let's see, I think he's 12 years old now. So
awesome.
And he's acted like a grumpy old man since the day we brought him in, pretty much. So I'm like, hey,
he's ready.
He's like, all right, just worship me and be happy. Be happy with my presence.
Absolutely.
And feed me. Do not let that food go halfway. It needs to be full all the time.
Yep. Cats rule the world.
They do.
That's what I think. But I do actually have my books here too. So
please show those. Yeah. Let's
so this is my
nope. We're gonna nope. I'm trying to get you on full screen here, and I messed that up here. Here we go. There we go. Yay. Okay. Wrong button. All right.
So this is my first book series, Spirit Vision, my young adult paranormal mystery series. And the first one is that Abby Anderson did the audiobook for. So you can purchase the audiobook version, ebook, or the actual physical copy on Amazon right now. So there's 3 in that series. I also have 3 poem short story collections. 2 are young. I do, yes. 2 are young adult, and 1 is new adult, which is, if you don't know, it's kind of a fairly new genre. It's 17 plus, just for content. All of them are fun. So if you like poems or short stories, those are also on Amazon. And then, of course,
question about those real quick, just from an author standpoint.
Of course.
How do are those good sellers, or I'm just curious, because I've got all this poetry that I'm like, what am I going to do with this? I need to actually do something with it. And I'm like, I can make a book, but nobody's going to buy that. So,
well, to be honest, they don't sell as well as book series.
Sure. Which is kind of what I expected.
Yes. But people who like poetry, they're a close niche group. So when they hear poetry, and I'm one of those people, I'm just like, ooh, so I get interested. So that's good. They're very loyal. I guess I'll say
See,
that.
that's positive. I like that.
Yes.
That's very good
Yes.
because I always kind of worried about putting out a book of poetry because I'm like, man, I enjoy it, but I don't know anybody else that has books of poetry around other than, a couple of my other writer friends. And I'm like, okay, I mean, they might buy one, but, so I was just always kind of curious. So thanks for sharing that because poetry books are awesome. So, yeah.
Absolutely. My suggestion is you try to get like a series book or a standalone first to get your name out there.
Right.
And then do your poetry and short stories. And short stories are also great for a couple different reasons. One, you have those people that they don't like reading a lot of words.
Right.
So, and that's fine. So short stories are great for them. Also, short stories, I tend to sell a lot of those to moms and grandmas of teenagers to see if they like my writing style.
Right. That makes sense.
And then if they do, because, no offense to myself, their short stories are fun, but they're not usually as exciting as my series.
Right.
Yeah, but, they're a little bit cheaper normally, or the stories are different, so they get a variety of my style. So that's fun. Oh, and then there's a third demographic. I'm trying to describe this one. So let's see, people who like, I can't really think of how to describe it, but I can see it in my head. But yeah, so poetry and short stories are good for a variety and younger readers, or, new to you readers and everything, which is fun. And I enjoy them as well. It lets me experiment with stories, and I can figure out like, oh, people like this one. Oh, people don't care about this one. Well, that didn't work, but which is really great. I probably have a couple I have favoritism towards just because I spent more time on them though. So
I understand that.
Yeah, I would heavily promote all three of those books just because I have at least one, maybe two short stories or a handful of poems that I'm like, okay, this one's good, but this one. Let me tell you about this one.
Right. I get that. Yeah.
Which is great. And something I do that a lot of people who review my poetry and short stories told me they appreciate is there's a little paragraph in front of every one that I explain how old I was, and I explain this is why I wrote this poem. This is what it means to me. This is what I'm trying to convey.
That's helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're like, I hate when people think too deep about poetry because sometimes we try to take every poem and make it too deep.
Yeah. I remember that from English in college. I'm like, well, clearly this poem is about blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's not at all what I got. Or how did you get that? Other than maybe the author said that, then that makes sense. Like, okay, but I'm like, oh my gosh, that seems like it's way overanalyzed there.
Yeah, and sometimes poems and stories are meant to make you think, but not every story is like that. Or poetry is great because there's multiple interpretations. So
that's exactly right. Yes.
So I'm like, if you read my poem and see something different, I'm not going to be upset with you. That's fine.
Right. Because it's speaking to who you are at that point.
Yeah. But I'm like, this is just what it meant to me. And sometimes it's one sentence that says, I was bored in class, or
oh, well, there you go.
This is my fourth love poem to my now husband. So it's
there you go. Yeah.
But then some are actually very sentimental. So that's a lot of fun.
There you go.
So I got three of those.
Do we have any love poems to other guys in these books?
I honestly, I think maybe. I think one.
Nothing wrong with that. I'm sure he's like, hey, it doesn't matter. She got me
right.
Finally, she got it right. So there we go. So.
Well, what's really funny is in the first one, most of them, the love poems are inspired by my now husband because we started dating in high school.
Right.
And we did take my senior year. We took like a couple-month break. We got back together. We were still friends. But his mother-in-law was one of the first, my mother-in-law, was one of the first people to buy that book. And she left a review. And then later she said, I didn't know you and Derek even broke up for a couple months. I was like, uh-oh, because she read my book. I'm like, oh, shoot. So she wasn't bad. I just thought, I was like, oh.
That's really funny. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I told Anna's, I guess. But, everything worked out. So it was fine. And then we got, of course, Hunter and Bringer and Monsters and Mortals. So
yes,
for the Kickstarter. So Patreon, I'm saying I'm using it for the audiobooks. It helps fund Spirit Visions. It helps fund like convention cost and merchandise costs. So I am using the money. All my money for that goes to things I use for books and projects. It's not, I don't get like, I'm like, oh, I'm going to go the Hot Topic. I have a separate account for my Patreon stuff.
Right. No, that makes sense. But you know, you're an author, entitled to take a little bit of money to go do that. But I appreciate that how you spend it. That's awesome. So
yeah. And I also support other friends and creatives on Patreon as well. So I also am a patron on some other sites.
Well, and I think that's good. People forget that a lot of the Patreon accounts are actually funded by other creatives that are like, oh, I really like this person also, so I can't give a lot, but let me help them a little bit as other people are helping me. So that happens a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of my author friends and I, we're like, we give each other the same amount of money every month. So we're not really like, gaining financial gain, but we're supporting each other and getting each other's content, helping each other advertise and everything. Yeah. So I love doing that. Or there's some Etsy creators, like artists that I absolutely love. So I'll spend $3 extra a month to like get exclusive sneak peeks or vote on the next print they're going to do or something. So
right.
Yeah, absolutely. So we try to make our prices affordable for that as well. But I love doing the Q&As. I love doing the interactive game with the $10 tiers. We do lots of things. And I do the monthly themes. So this monthly theme, which you can participate in, is community writing. So I'm excited about that. So it's Writing Wednesdays because there's 5 Wednesdays in March. And it's March Madness. So I don't do sports, but I can do that. So there's going to be a picture with rules for every short story on the Patreon. I started the short story, and in the comments, you guys are going to continue it following the rules.
I'm going to have to check that out because that sounds like a lot of fun.
I think it will be too.
I'm game, absolutely so all right.
Too. Yeah, maybe we'll read them like in April for Poetry Month or something. So that might be on a Q&A. Yeah. So that might be really fun.
That, yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We'll have to bombard Geeky Kool with poetry in April. So.
Yes, April's Poetry Month. Always excited about that. But yeah, here's the spine difference.
Yeah, a little different there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty typical first and second book. So.
Yeah. Well, this also was finished during COVID. So, and I was off school for 3 months. So this one will total cost about $2,000 for 2 fantastic narrators. They go by hourly rates.
Right.
So, and it's by finished hours. So like with Abby, she told me that the book is about 15 hours, listening to it.
Right.
But she probably took 60 total between editing, retakes, checking things. So they don't get paid for all that other 75% of the time you don't hear. They only get paid for the finished product. So if you think about it, and people's like, why are you spending $2,000 on like a 8-hour book read? I'm like, it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
So they're being they are more within my budget, and they're being so fair to me. And they have union rules. So they're giving me like the most fair price that still protects them and gives them what they deserve. Yeah.
Didn't know they had union rules. That's awesome.
Yes, they do. If you go, there's 2 different routes. So you can go where you share the profits, which is what Abby and I do, because she's newer to the narrating world. Although she's, I think, narrated 4 or 5 books currently, and she's amazing. I would definitely recommend her, especially for young adult books. And then for Lexi and Logan, since I have 2 narrators, I can't split the profits with them. Amazon won't allow that. So what I do is I'm going to pay them up front their fees. And then later when the book's released, I will get all the profits after Amazon takes their cut.
Right.
Yeah. So there's 2 different, So 2 different methods. And as an author, if you only have 1 narrator, you get to pick which method you want.
Very cool.
Which is very cool.
That is really awesome. I did not know that.
So that's why. I'm learning a lot too.
I bet.
They're great. But I'm hopeful next year maybe we can do another successful Kickstarter for book 2. That one might need a little more love.
That would be amazing. I think that would be well, and I think you're going to see that you're going to be able to do that by this one being successful. And it's always great because when you have a successful Kickstarter, then that actually seems to help you get more Kickstarter going on, because people are like, oh, well, they were able to do this last time and they went over, and so people are really able to jump in. Now we've got a few questions from Mandy.
Okay, absolutely.
So, all right. So she wants to know, what was your biggest obstacle with it?
For my Kickstarter, you think, or for my audio?
For your Kickstarter and the audiobook, both.
Okay. Oh, gosh. So for the audio, my first one was Spirit Vision, since I had a really good rapport with Abby when I heard her in the summer, and I knew she was the one. Like, I just knew. It was great. So that experience was really great. And I funded that one out of my pocket because I believed in her, and we were able to work out a really good deal. So I think the hardest part of just that experience was Amazon was being super slow.
Right.
So, that I think dealing with the companies that you have to go through, because I don't have any editing experience, like at all.
Right.
But for this one, the hardest thing right now is getting the money and making sure Kickstarter was successful. So I've been researching since September. All these professionals, people who've personally succeeded. I've done, Kickstarter has videos and stuff themselves that they release to potential campaign creators. So I've been doing so much research, and I've learned a lot. Like, they were like, did you know that 80% of successful Kickstarters have a kick butt video? So I'm like, oh, well, that's good to know. Or like you said, people who surpass their goal, that makes it look like the product is worthwhile. So people would rather fund that than something that's not.
Right.
Which kind of stinks. I feel bad for those people. But
I agree.
Yeah. But so I've seen, and I look for Kickstarter all the time, also to support people. Because again, support creatives. That's something I preach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do a lot of comic book Kickstarters because I'm like, man, these indie comic book guys are putting out some amazing products, and a lot of times better than the big two are doing. I'm like, man, they need to get more recognition. So I enjoy really doing those because there's always an interesting voice with that. So yeah.
Yeah, my friend Brian, who's my mentor, he's a comic book artist. Brian, I'll have to give you his information. I think you'd love him.
I would love to hear it. Yes.
Yeah, he does fantastic work, and he's such a cool guy. He has extreme asthma. So his newest series called The Nebulizer, and it's about this guy in a post-apocalyptic world who has a sarcastic robot sidekick, and they're trying to find this final vial that it contains like medicine that's going to help him survive.
Oh, wow.
And everything. Yeah. And because he has asthma, he understands that extreme. So I think that's really cool, taking something that sometimes we see as a disability as a superpower, like Toph in Avatar.
Right. Yes.
So Brian's amazing. And I can't draw, so I really appreciate that too.
I get that. Yeah. Well, that actually leads into Mandy's next question for you. She wants to know how you found your illustrator. Which I believe is who we're talking about. So
yeah, her name's Susie Zhang. She goes by Cherryuki, and we actually met back in high school a long time ago. Back in the day when GeoCities was a thing, if anybody remembers GeoCities. So my first official anime, other than Pokemon, because everybody watched Pokemon, was Cardcaptor Sakura. It's still my favorite and my favorite manga. And I made a fan site in middle school and high school. And I actually got to be in like the top 30 Cardcaptor Sakura fan sites, like internet-wide, which was pretty cool. Yeah. Not that there was a whole bunch of them. There's probably like maybe 100, but whatever. But that's how I met Susie, and actually my book agent. They also had Cardcaptor Sakura fan sites.
Really?
Yeah. So we would talk on MSN Messenger at night. My mom obviously would make sure everything was safe, and they ended up, we all ended up going our different paths, and then we reconnected later on Facebook, like 11 years ago. And I found out, well, one of them's a book publicist and agent. One of them's trying to be a manga artist, and I'm trying to be an author. So we all just kind of collaborated.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so I was very fortunate to do that. But her store is Cherry Rabbit, and I would highly, highly recommend it. She does such beautiful art, and her first manga got published in France a couple months ago.
Fantastic.
Yeah, she's deserved it for years, so I'm so happy for her.
That is amazing. Awesome. Well, Mandy's got another question for you. And this
oh,
is
of course, Mandy.
Poetry.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay. That would be great. If they take, I mean, I'm technically published, but yeah, I would love to enter. Poetry was my first form of writing when I was in middle school because I was so shy. And then later I've told the story before about becoming an actual author, but I've started with poetry.
Right. And that's where I started also. So yeah, I get that. So in fact, I didn't think I had any sort of creative skills. Like I can't draw anything. I can't sing worth anything. And I had to have an English class, like a junior level English class. And I didn't want to take English 3 because I really hated the whole grammar rules and all of that. And just so tired of it. And so I took creative writing just to kind of get that out of the way. And my teacher saw something in me and really encouraged me. And it really caused me to blossom and to get out of where I just was kind of making it in school to really enjoying stuff. So, I really appreciated her doing that, but that she really pushed me with my poetry. She's like, oh, are you writing this? And of course, then I started writing all these love poems to all the girlfriends that I had at the time, which seemed to rotate around. It was always funny because I was always more invested than they were into the relationship and would write all this poetry. And then, the problem of being the nice guy, the good guy who's going to treat you well, and then they leave to go with the bad boys that are treating them poorly. And I'm like, I could be a bad boy, but I'll treat you nice. Doesn't work. Yeah. I get a leather jacket that makes me a bad boy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Nice girls get treated the same. I always get I like you as a little sister, and I'm like,
yeah, right,
because you're nice. And you're just like, I get it.
What do you want?
No, I never went for the bad boy.
Well, good for you.
Yeah, I went for the geeky. I like the geeky guys.
See, that's what I like to hear.
That's I'm a geek. So they spoke my language.
Right. Me too. Right. I get it. Oh, a really funny thing. And of course, I'm older than you are, by a little bit. So the girl I had a crush on from like 4th grade through freshman year, that never really gave me the time of day. And I grew up in a very small town. So I knew everybody in my class, and I knew her, and I'd known her entire, life pretty much. And so, but I had this crush on her like crazy. Aww. And, she's popular, cheerleader, and all this stuff. And I was the geeky boy who would go out for sports, but I was never good. Like I was always the guy sitting on the bench. But then I was into Star Wars and comic books and all this stuff. So I was kind of not. And at that point, geeks were really kind of an outcast. So then I come to find out at one of our reunions that I'm talking to her, and she goes, I was always really liked comic books, and I always really liked all the stuff that you did, but I couldn't come out and tell anybody. I'm like, you're killing me here. And then I'm like, you could have dated the guy that could have let you be free and all that. You would have been fine, but you chose not to. And so,
write that as a rom-com. I'd watch that rom-com. Right. I would watch that rom-com.
Set in high school, we could put it on Disney Plus. It would be good. So
there you go. It'd be adorable. Oh, I love it.
The Geek and the Cheerleader coming to you on Disney Plus.
Woohoo! Hey, I love Disney Plus.
I do too. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mandy, for the questions.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. That's awesome, Mandy. We appreciate those. Well, we're an hour and 15 minutes in. I don't want to take any more of your night, especially because I know it's been a long day because you were so excited. But congratulations on the Kickstarter. It's going great. Anybody that's not checked it out yet, please link from below. Go out there. You've seen what it looks like. It's awesome stuff. And watch the video. If nothing else, watch the video, promote it out. Let's bring it in here. All right, there you go.
Yeah. I mean, look at these guys.
I know, it's awesome.
Don't you want to hear their voices?
Yes, I do.
I do, for sure.
Well, you're going to get to very soon. So, I mean, you've already got the first chapter, but you're going to hear the rest of it very soon. So,
oh gosh, I can't wait.
So, what's the deadline of the Kickstarter? We didn't talk about that. I know you're going to be having it funded long before then, but what's the deadline on it?
April 4th.
April 4th. So, so you have a month, guys, to go out there. Don't wait. Get it in now. Let's go ahead and get those stretch things. Let's make Morgan work hard to do 20 stretch goals. That's what I'm saying.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I have nothing to do. Give me more to do, guys. No, that would be a great job. I'm totally fine with that and everything. And guys, in case funds are tight right now because people get paid different types of the month, I totally understand that. If you go to any Kickstarter campaign, you can click Remind Me, and you'll get an email 2 days before it ends.
And I've used that one several times with
a lot of people do, and that's great. That's great. It's a great feature.
It definitely is.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't actually come out of your bank account until it's done. So that's the other thing to remember. If you pledge today, it's not being sucked out of your bank account until it's over. So
yeah. So they told me around April 6th or 7th is when, if it succeeds, I should slowly be getting the funds in. But on another note, make sure you guys save your money.
That's exactly right. Make sure you've got it in there.
I worry about that too when I fund Kickstarters. Sometimes you're like, oh shoot.
Well, sometimes that's why I do the Remind Me later. Like remind me 2 days before. That way I know when it's coming out. Because if I do it right at the beginning. Now there's certain things I'm like, okay, this is going to be $10. I'll have the $10 in there. That's not a problem because I want to get it in right away. But yeah, try not to wait too long, guys. But yeah, if you need to, do that. Whatever works. And go out and promote it. Send it to the social media, different sites, and let everybody know that you're funding it or that you're interested in it. That way other people can see it, because that's how great Kickstarters work, is they get everybody to see it and go, oh, there's a game that's on Target stores right now, and I'm sure it's other places also, called Throw Throw Burrito. Started as a Kickstarter. And now it's all over Target, and people talk about it and play it all the time. So, well,
Critical Role, the anime, started as a Kickstarter.
It certainly did, yeah.
Yeah, and it actually has the Guinness Book of World Records for being the fastest funded Kickstarter of all time.
We would love to match that, right? That'd be great.
Oh gosh, I think I've already lost there because there's only supposed to be I think 2 or 3 mini episodes is what they were trying to fund, and they got so much. They funded a full 12 episode seasons with David Tennant and Felicia Day voice acting, and the way they ended it, and people are in love with it. It's going to keep going. So
oh yeah, it's been huge. People have been talking about it, so there's no way it's not going to. Now, for those that have not watched it, it is not for kids, even though it's animated.
No,
not at all.
No,
but that's gonna have a series is too. So it's definitely a 17 plus sort of show, and that's okay. So
I had to shut my eyes a couple times during the blood scenes because I wasn't expecting them.
It's a lot of blood, right?
Because I know it's a cartoon, and I know there's worse, but I'm kind of squeamish, even though I write about murder. Go figure. But seeing it is
it's a whole different thing, right?
Yeah. So guys, within the first 5 minutes, you figure out real quick it's 16, 17 plus.
But don't start with your 4-year-old kid in with you trying to figure that out. That's what I'm saying.
No, but it's good. It's definitely good.
It is very good. I agree. Well, since we're coming to the end of our show, wanted to go ahead and do our shout outs that we do for our other friends that have other cool geeky stuff out there. So our geek and nerd friends out there talking about nerds, we'll start there with our good friends, the Nerd Informants. There we go. All right. So make sure to go check out Nerd Informants. They got stuff on YouTube and Facebook and a lot of cool stuff. They're doing movie reviews and are actively doing their win a prize out there where you can win tickets to see a movie with them at the IMAX. And they're doing it pretty much every big major movie coming out at IMAX in Branson. So Josh and Tim are always doing cool stuff. Check them out. Talking about them, they have another site that's basically a fan page where you can go in and add stuff in. I know you've done that, Morgan, and
yes.
On Geeky Cool, we do that often, is go share stuff on their site to kind of spread stuff around. Anything cool that you know of, or if you got something you want people to know about, such as a Kickstarter, then you can go there and add that in. We've got our good friends, Keith and Gary, over at Pop Culture Minefield. Now, talking about 17 plus content that they're there. But they're awesome. They're hysterical. They've got greatest interviews. They've got amazing scoops. They've got an in the community that basically tells them what's going to happen with movies. Like, they broke the whole idea that there were going to be multiple Spider-Man and that have all three of them a year before anybody else did. So
awesome.
So they've got all sorts of cool stuff. Keith also has his own show where they're going over and exploring the in-depth look at Babylon 5. And he's doing episode by episode over on the Fat Steven Seagal show on Mondays at 3 p.m. where you can watch it on YouTube. You don't have to watch it live, but it is live then. And that's great. Keith is amazing. He's so knowledgeable, and he just brings all sorts of cool information. Him and Gary both are incredible. Then we've got our friends at the Fanatics and the Fan. You can check out their show on YouTube. They went from being a podcast that was not visual to being a visual podcast. So they've got all sorts of cool stuff that goes on there. And our good friends talking about OzCon earlier. The OzPod gals are a ton of fun.
Yes.
And have so much cool geeky stuff. And it just does my heart well to see such great geeky girls, just like Morgan, who are not scared to embrace who they are, because I grew up in a time frame where even not everybody was able to do that. As I said, a cheerleader who really was into it but couldn't tell anybody because that would ruin her popularity. So, and of course, we've got our partner in crime. We've got the Scallywag Productions with Spoo. And with everything that's been going on, his health is getting better, and he should be able to start making videos. But he's got this little wedding thing he's got to prepare for and all that. So he's got a lot on his plate, right? But hopefully very soon we'll be seeing him and AJ doing some more videos there. And, of course, we've got our site, GeekyKOOL.com, and we got Morgan over here, who is one of our great contributors. So, and she's got 3 articles a month, and even more occasionally. So, but so you can check those out and check her writing out along with all the other stuff she does, because she doesn't have enough to do. She needs to write articles for us too. So, and we are actually so grateful. I love your voice. The things that you bring is such a refreshing view that I don't see other people writing. So I do appreciate that. You and Mandy both have a really great voice for us. And, it's so appreciated from a website creator. It's so helpful when we've got those, because people get tired of my voice, and I love having other voices and other geeky things that I may not be an expert on that you guys know that have a great voice. So thank you again, Morgan, for that. Thank you for coming on.
Anytime you want to have
me. So we'll have to have a celebration when your Kickstarter is complete. So probably tomorrow about 5, I'm assuming.
Oh my goodness. That would be really cool, because some people put like those funded in 48-hour stickers.
Right,
so that
wouldn't that be amazing? That would be amazing. Gosh. We can do that.
I'd probably be crying from joy on the floor.
That would be awesome.
So if you wanted me to be like, if you guys want to see me do that, you can keep joining the Kickstarter.
So you're saying you're going to do a video for us of you doing that if you're funded within 48 hours?
If I'm, yes.
Okay. All right. Challenge accepted.
I will cry on the floor with happiness and film it.
That would be awesome. So And we'll have to take that video and post it on Geeky Kool because that would be amazing.
Gosh.
So,
and of course, that would be my one viral video.
You're right. You have gone viral. But you know what?
I haven't gone viral yet. Oh my goodness.
If that's picked up by major news things because that's gone viral and blown up, the fact that then they mentioned that your book and your audiobook and everything else, man, that there we go. That would be incredible. So
that would be great.
Thank you again. Have yourself a fantastic evening. Congratulations again. And I know we're going to get this funded quickly for you. So I just want it funded, but thank you guys. You guys are amazing. You are too, Morgan. You are amazing, and we do appreciate you. Arigato. I don't know the proper response to that. I know what it means, but I'm like, I don't know. I wish I knew. Also, I'm singing Mr. Roboto in my head. So.
That's what my coworkers do when I say that. or I'm turning Japanese. They'll sing that too.
That's a good one too. Yeah, I'm so 80s, so I can do both of those.
Oh, I like 80s. I love 80s stuff.
See, I knew I liked you a lot for a reason. So now you're really speaking my love language there when you love on the 80s. So
yes, I'm in.
People, if you weren't from the 80s, a lot of people just thumb their nose. I'm like, you guys are missing out. I don't know. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. We're going to end it. You guys have a great evening. Stay geeky out there and go over and check out the Kickstarter and all the other sites for Morgan because they're awesome and they're down below. We'll talk to you later.